KS3, last time we made a lolly stick greenhouse and we tied knots and we used a glue gun very safely, and that is our structure that we ended up with. This time we're going to learn how to use a hammer very safely with nails and some wood. And the first thing you need to do this lesson is go outside and you're going to collect some sticks, mostly medium-sized sticks like this. However, we can use a few thick sticks. We don't want them too long. So for example, with this one, if I'm outside, perhaps I'm going to now snap this, and that's a nice size. I do want them tall, so in fact that might be a little bit too short. So perhaps something like that length. So if you go outside and collect some sticks first. So everybody has a nice block of wood, very thick. And the first thing you're going to do is get your hammer. Doesn't matter which size hammer you've been given. And when you hold your U-bend nail, these are called staple nails. Some people call them U-bend nails. When you hold your U-bend nail, you're going to make sure that your fingers are out of the way of the top bit of the nail. So when you hammer, you're just going to hammer very lightly. If you go too hard, you could slip and hurt your fingers, and that's not good. And if you do hurt your fingers, what I'd like you to do is just have a break and perhaps wash them under a cold tap for a long time, just like you did with the glue gun. So hold your nail towards the bottom and do a few light taps, and you'll feel the nail descending. It's going in. It's just a few light taps, and you don't want to go too hard because you might slip. Now, my nail stays in because I've done enough light taps. So the next thing, you can now take your hands out of the way, just hold the wood, and you can go a bit harder, not too hard, but you can go harder to really try and get it in. If you really pound it, you'll see it go down. See, that nail is now nice and tight and it's in. So when you've done that, the point of that is because we can then use that as a bracket to put sticks in. And this stick is just a little bit too thick for it, so I have to wedge it down, but that now creates a nice stable structure. Now the rest of your group are going to put nails on each side. So I don't want that sticking yet. So that will be the last stage. So let's get that out for now. And now if you just rotate it and then have one of your members of your group have a go, and they tap on this side until you've got a nail in each side. Now on the final one, on the final side, on the fourth side, you'll have lots of nails in the way. So what I'd like you to do is then overarch it onto a table so that all the nails are out of the way, and the last person will have to put their nail here very carefully without tipping the wood. So the last person will have to overarch it onto the table so that nails are out of the way. Okay, so I've managed to put a stick in each U-bend nail. However, the final U-bend nail, no sticks quite fit. So I've got a nice solution. What I'm going to do is put an elastic band around one stick here, and then it's going to just stretch onto this U-bend nail, and then I'm going to go to the opposite U-bend nail just here. So now you can see it stretches from this U-bend to this U-bend, and I think this could create a nice fixing for another stick. So now I'm going to use how tensile this elastic band is, and I'm going to stretch it even more with my hand. My Kagan group helping me to hold everything steady, and I can just wedge a stick in there. And there we are. Now, it's not as secure as the others, but it is a nice solution for now. In fact, I might get a band and stretch it over all the sticks without touching them. This is where you have to be ever so careful. And for more security, I might be able to wrap it round this stick even more. Let's just have a look if that creates a stable structure. Yes, it does. You can now see it's got two elastic bands on it, one round the nail, one round here. So you're just experimenting really with creating a strong structure. Right, I would also like to secure this bamboo stick to the top of the wood, and of course I've got the sharp bit here, but it's got nothing to hold on to, has it? So what I'm going to do is, where I've got some space, and this is where you have to be really dexterous and very careful with your hand, I'm going to get a long nail, quite a thick long nail, and again I'm going to be really careful as I tap of where I place my fingers. I'm not going to go too hard just in case I slip. Okay, now I'm going to take my hand out of the way and I'm going to pound it just a little bit harder. You don't want to go all the way down because you won't get the nail back out again. Now I'm going to use the claw end of this hammer, and I'm going to gently, my Kagan group will help me hold this block down. I'm going to gently pull it up. Now you don't want anyone in the way. So this claw could get somebody if they're in the way. So if I just put the claw here, so it reaches the head of the nail, and then if I just give it a gentle pull, if you struggle with this, your teacher will help you. And what I've done is I've created a nice hole here at the top. I don't know if you can see that hole, but I can see it, the nail hole. And now I just get the sharp end of the bamboo stick and I place the sharp end in there and I lightly tap the bamboo stick. If you go too hard, you will snap the bamboo stick. So here we go. Nice little tap. Hold it so it doesn't vibrate too much at the top. And there we go. We've secured a bamboo stick. So this could form part of your greenhouse structure. Okay, so I've now placed 4 bamboo sticks into the wood. Okay, and I wonder if you knew how bendy bamboo is. So if I carefully bend this round here, it creates a nice shape. And if I take this one, perhaps this could wrap around on the other side. So you can even bend the bamboo to create a very secure structure. Okay. When you've done that, you can then have 2 Kagan groups, one with each of their posts. And I suppose you could then, I don't know, you could use some string to connect your posts. You could even take your apex from last lesson, your other greenhouse structure, and place it on top. I'd like you to experiment and see how you could make your 2 structures connect and make them really strong. Enjoy.